Hi, thank you guys so much for your class requests. I get a lot of them, so I can't get to all of them, but this class was a request for yoga to help with sore muscles. So, of course, it's perfect for anybody, but if you're athletic and have been working out and feel sore afterwards, or maybe you spent a weekend skiing, this is like the perfect class for you. So we're not gonna be doing a lot of standing postures. It's mostly gonna be on the floor, and we're gonna do longer holds, just so you can give the body an opportunity to stretch out the muscles and get the blood flowing back into the muscles so you can keep up with your activities. So we're gonna start on our back, and right away we're gonna come into a pose. If you're confused about what it looks like, you can kind of peek up from your mat, but you are gonna lay down on your back, and you're gonna bring your feet to the left corner of your mat at the bottom, and you're gonna bring your shoulders to the left corner of your mat at the top. Okay, so you're basically creating like a banana shape or a C shape with your body. And get into this position by keeping your hips and shoulders on the floor. So you can bend as much as you can without rolling off to the side. So obviously right away you'll notice that the emphasis of the stretch is on your right side. Now take opposite hand to opposite elbow. This is going to increase the stretch. If it's too much, you don't need to take this position with the hands. And if you want a little bit more of a stretch, take your right ankle over your left ankle, experiment with that. Or take your left ankle over your right ankle. So whatever feels like a deeper stretch, both are great. They're just a little bit different. All right, so once you're in position, kind of settle into your pose here. We're going to hold it. So this is actually a yin pose, yoga pose, and just keeping up with yin tradition, we're going to hold it for 3 minutes. So yin postures you hold for a long time. So since we're already in the posture, we're going to take this opportunity to really tap into the breath. So just to welcome your breath, take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it at the top. Let it go through your mouth. Now keep that sound, that ha sound, but close your lips and start to inhale and exhale through your nose. So your breath should be audible to yourself. And as you hold the pose, work in the direction of longer and slower inhales and exhales. If your body starts to loosen up here and you feel like you can go deeper, just take a little more movement. So bring your shoulders a little bit further to the left and your feet a little bit further to the left. If you have one ankle crossed over the other, you might want to experiment with the other ankle crossed over. But it's great when we hold these poses because you get the opportunity to just observe what's happening in your body and make adjustments. We're not just rushing in and out of the pose. Like for me, this is getting definitely more intense the longer I hold it. I can really feel my right side opening up, and I hope you can too. I've got about 1 more minute on this side. You're starting to feel like it's really intense. Just deepen your breath and really focus on your breath here. All right, nice work. It's pretty intense. So take Take it slow as you come out. Ah, wow. That's a good one. Whew. All right. We obviously have to do that on the other side, but take your time, okay? You don't want to swing out of it. So start moving your shoulders to the opposite side of your mat and your feet to the same side, well, opposite side of what it was. So basically you're bumping your hips now to the left, you're bumping your shoulders to the right and your feet to the right. Now, cross your arms overhead again, if that worked for you on the other side, but take the opposite cross, the awkward cross. And experiment with crossing your ankles if you want to go a little bit deeper. Just a reminder, keep your hips and your shoulders on the floor. So try to avoid rolling to the side to get deeper into the bend. You want to keep everything flat. Guide your breath to your left side. We have about 1 more minute on this side. Maybe take it a little further if you feel your body is starting to open up. Take 1 more breath here. Slowly release. Yeah, so something happened. Hopefully something happened for you too. That's a really good stretch for your side. Okay, so bring yourself back to center and then bring both of your knees toward your chest, but keep your low back and your hips on the floor and keep your shoulders on the floor. So either a loose grip on the knees, if that's as much as you can get, or you can reach your hand for opposite elbow or wrist. Just keep your toes, heels, and knees lined up side by side. One more breath here. We're going to deepen into the right hip here. So extend your left leg long on your mat, interlace your fingers around your right knee. Now bring your knee around your ribs and up toward your shoulder. So you're going to get a deeper compression in your right hip here. Draw your elbows in, flex your toes back toward both knees. And let's take this into a spinal twist now. So relax the grip on your knee, bring it back towards center, and then start to guide it across your body. So you're going to bring your right knee to the floor, toward the floor. Bring your right arm off to the right, extend it long, palm faces down, and then look to the right. Come back to center. Extend your right leg long on your mat. Bring your left knee into your chest, hands around your knee. Now bring your knee around your ribs and then up to your left shoulder. Flex all 10 toes back. Biceps are active, so your elbows are drawing in toward your leg. And just notice the sensation in your left hip. You might feel some sensation in your low back as well. And release your left knee. Bring it back to center. Bring your right knee to meet your left and just roll the length of your spine and come up to a sit. So come into a tabletop position. Align your shoulders over your wrists and your hips over your knees. And start to move through cat-cow, warming up your spine. So as you breathe in, drop your belly down, lift the crown of your head and your tailbone, and as you breathe out, round your spine. Keep going back and forth. Last movement. Exhale yourself to cat pose. And then come to tabletop position. We're going to take a shoulder stretch. So keep your hips over your knees. You might have to walk toward the back of your mat. And then walk your hands to the front of your mat and then wide to the edges of your mat. Okay, so get that length there. And then press your hips over your knees and start to sink your chest toward the floor. And then rest your forehead on the floor. So there's no tension in your neck. The entire weight of your head is resting. Feel the stretch in your shoulders. Feel the length in your torso and your spine. Breathe deeply here. You should be able to hear your breath as it flows in and out through your nose. Press your way back up. I'm gonna shimmy your hands back. Bring your hips to your heels now, but keep your right arm extended, and then draw your left arm underneath your right. So now you're gonna stretch the back of your shoulder. Now again, rest the entire weight of your head down on your mat. So your left ear is resting on your mat. You're looking to the right. Your left palm faces up. Now take your left palm and face it down. Just feel the rotation in your shoulder and the different sensation in the stretch. Getting a nice hip and low back stretch as well in our child's pose position. Now extend your left arm long and slide your right arm underneath your left. Come onto your right shoulder and your right ear. Rest the weight of your head down, and then right palm faces up and look to the left. For your last breath, press your right palm flat to the floor, feel the rotation in your shoulder, and notice the different sensation in your stretch. Breathe. Extend your right arm long, and then just press back. One breath in a full extended child's pose. Walk your hands up. Stay on your shins, but now bring your knees together and separate your feet. Sit your hips between your heels. And then work your knees toward one another. You can sit up tall here. This is hero pose. We're focusing on the stretch in our quadriceps and our knees. Okay, so this is really good for your knees. You should feel sensation, but no pain. So if you need to back out of this pose, please do. But it is pretty intense, so it should feel intense. If your quads and your knees are open and you want to take it deeper, just walk your hands back. Maybe come onto your forearms. Maybe come down onto your back. Now, if you come down onto your back, just note that this pose is actually a back bend. It's a mini back bend. So your low back is supposed to be off the floor. There's a little arch here in your low back, but you don't need to emphasize it, but just know that. And then similar to our first pose, if you want to, if you're on your back, take opposite hand to opposite elbow up over top of your head. Now, when I came down onto my back, my knees did separate because my knees and my quads are a little bit tight. So that's okay, but what I'm doing is activating my inner thighs, so I'm drawing my knees together. Now they're not coming together, but I want you to stay active in your inner thighs. And if you're really flexible and this is really easy to hang out in, just find that motion. So your knees are touching, maybe press them together. So active stretch. If you're reclined, you can slowly come all the way back up. Okay, and then just walk your hands forward, come in back into tabletop, and then take your right leg long, press it back, and press your heel back. So stretch out your right leg here, feel the blood flowing back into your knee joint. And then do the same with your left side. So walk your left leg back, feel the blood flowing back into your left knee joint. It's really good for creating healing. And then come back to tabletop position. Now cross over your ankles and come into a seat. I'm gonna give you two options. This is gonna be a hip stretch and a shoulder stretch. So it's cow face pose, and you want to bring your left knee so it's facing the front of your mat, and then stack your right knee on top of your left. If this is inaccessible for you, that's okay. If easy pose feels like a stretch in your hips, just take easy pose. But find the place where you can actually feel a stretch happening in your hip to get maximum benefits out of it. Again, if you're really flexible and this doesn't feel like a stretch, what you can start to do is walk your shins so they come more parallel to the front of your mat while keeping your knees stacked. So experiment with that if you're not feeling a stretch, okay? Bring your right arm up and over, and your left hand comes to your right elbow, or your left hand clasps behind your back. Okay, now, if you are taking the clasp, but you've sacrificed your tall spine and you've hunched or rounded, back off the clasp, take your hand up onto your elbow maybe. So maintain a long spine as you hold the posture. And just check in that you can hear your breath and that you have the opportunity to make any adjustments as you hold the pose. So maybe you just go deeper into it the longer you hold it. One more option, if you feel pretty open in the hips and want more sensation, is to hinge forward, but again, only if you can maintain your long spine. So try to avoid hunching. Release the clasp of your hands. Maybe give them a little shake, maybe a little shoulder roll here. Now you're going to take your right knee to your left heel. Now we're going to stretch the front side of our bodies and open up our heart center. So place your left hand down on the floor and lift your hips off the floor. So immediately you should feel a stretch in your hip flexors. And then as you extend your arm up or back, you should feel a stretch in your torso as well, your abdominal muscles. Feel any sensation in your neck? A great option for you is to take your right hand to the back of your head and support your head with your hand. Okay, this is another option. Active stretch here. Keep pressing your hips up and forward. And then slow release down onto your mat. And go ahead and uncross your legs and extend both of them long on your mat. Okay, so we're going to take a hamstring stretch now. Reach your arms up overhead. Hinging from the hips and keeping your spine long, start to reach toward your toes. So maybe you touch your quads or your shins or the floor, your toes, your heels. Wherever you are in your fold, you should be feeling the sensation in the backs of your legs, your hamstrings, and you should be working toward keeping your spine long again. So if that means backing off of the fold, go ahead and do that. The tops of your legs should be active, so engage your quadriceps, and your toes should be pointing up and flexing back. Okay, this is just going to help you get maximum benefits out of this stretch, because when you are engaged in the fronts of your legs, it allows more space in the backs of your legs, and it helps you avoid overstretching if you're really flexible, and it helps you avoid injury. Okay, you never want to overstretch, so you have to listen to your body and go to that edge where you think, all right, something's happening, but I'm not in pain. You never want to be in pain. All right, release from your fold and bring your right knee so it's facing the front of your mat, and stack your left knee on top of your right. This side might be different for you. So again, all those modifications and variations I gave to you on the other side, feel free to experiment with any of them. I'm gonna just walk my shin a little bit closer to the front of my mat, but this side is a little tighter for me, so I'm gonna make some adjustments on this side. And then your left arm is going to come up and over this time, and your right hand will come to your left elbow, or you can clasp your hands behind your back. So sit up tall. If you want more, you hinge forward. Whatever variation you're in though, just avoid rounding and hunching. And stay long and lifted. Release your arms. Take your left knee, bring it to your right heel. And then bring your right hand behind you and start to lift your hips off the mat. So stretch through both your hips and then your torso, sending your arm up or back Or if you want the support for your neck, take your left hand behind your head and hold it, and let the weight of your head rest in your hand. Breathe. And release. All right, so now we want to stretch the inner thighs. So you can turn sideways on your mat. Bring your feet wide. So as far as alignment goes in this pose, both knees and toes are pointed straight up. So to achieve that, if you need to bring your legs in and it just looks like this, that's totally fine. But try and keep active and this alignment in your legs, okay? So again, like I told you in our seated forward fold, quadriceps are active. You can have your hands behind you to support you holding the pose. If this feels like a deep stretch for your inner thighs, hold here. If you're more open in your inner thighs and want to go deeper into the pose, you can start to walk your hands forward. Okay, but if you start walking your hands forward and watching your toes and knees come forward with you, back off. So keep making that adjustment so your knees and toes are pointed up. If you've come forward, slowly make your way back out, and then use your hands to bring your knees in. Face the front of your mat again, and lower down onto your back. We're going to take one more stretch for your front body and shoulder stretch bonus. So make your way into bridge pose. Walk your feet in towards your hips, ground down through your feet, press your hips up. So again, an active stretch. Really engage your glutes to lift your hips a little bit higher and feel the opening in your hip flexors, the fronts of your hips, and feel the opening in your abdomen, your core, your torso. Keep your chin coming away from your chest and your chest coming toward your chin. Now for the shoulder opener, take your hands and interlace your fingers underneath your hips, and then roll onto the back of your right shoulder and then roll onto the back of your left shoulder. That'll get your hips higher and it'll open your shoulders and chest even more. One more breath in, and slowly release down onto your back. Lift your feet off the floor, separate your feet and your knees for happy baby pose. So you can hold onto your calves or shins, your ankles or your toes, maybe the outer edges of your feet. And then roll side to side, massaging your back. Come back to center, hold it here. Now keep your left leg in happy baby, and then extend your right leg long. It's okay if it doesn't come to straight, but go in that direction. So one more inner thigh stretch here, and then equally draw your left thigh down toward the floor. Switch sides, so bring your right thigh, bend it, half happy baby, and extend your left leg long. So keep this pose active, so you're really bringing that right thigh closer to being parallel to the floor. I think sometimes happy baby gets thrown in at the end of a class and you just kind of hang out, take a couple wobbly rocks, but it can be a really, really intense pose if you hold it. Really good for opening up your hips and your hamstrings and your inner thighs. Okay, now maybe extend your right leg straight just for a breath. So you're in a reclined straddle position. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. And release to Shavasana. Extend your legs long. And if you have a sore body today, this is going to be your favorite part of class, because now you get the opportunity to lay here in complete stillness and relaxation. You just feel your body and the entire weight of your body melt down onto your mat and onto the floor. And just take a body scan here, starting with your toes. Noticing your feet and your ankles and relaxing your toes and your feet and your ankles. Bring your attention and your awareness to your calves, your shins, and your knees. Soften your calves, your shins, and your knees. Bring all of your awareness and your attention to your thighs, your hamstrings, the backs of your legs, your hips and your low back. Melt your thighs, your hips, and your low back. All of your awareness to your belly, to your ribs, and to your back. Soften and relax your belly, your ribs, and your back. Start to notice your fingers, the palms of your hands, the backs of your hands and your wrists. Relax your fingers, the palms of your hands, the backs of your hands and your wrists. Start to notice your right arm. Notice your left arm. Soften and relax both arms. Bring your attention to your chest, your shoulders, and your upper back. Notice your heart space. Feel the energy in the middle of your chest. Soften and open your heart space. Release tension from your shoulders. Feel the heaviness in your upper back. And start to notice your throat, your neck, and your jaw. Completely relax your throat, the back of your neck, and your jaw. Bring your attention to your cheeks, your ears, and your forehead. Release and relax any tension from your forehead, your cheeks, and your ears. Notice the crown of your head. Feel the weight of your head resting on your mat. Notice the energy at the crown of your head. Notice your entire body. Feel the weight of your entire body being supported by the floor, by the earth. Rest in your Shavasana for another 3 to 5 minutes if you have the time. Lay here in silence and stillness. Thank you for joining me for class today. As you go forward, may you have peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, and peace in your heart. From my heart to yours, namaste.